Hello, everybody. It's time for the Galactic War Games. No, wait, it's not. It's time for the A10s to go. Brr. Nope. Hold on. What does it say? Oh, that's right. They took away everything, and now it's time for Syntax Live. How's everybody doing tonight? We got very few people watching right now, but hey, everybody shows up good. Probably not going to be a long night because everyone, including myself, is recovering from the Christmas holiday. By the way, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And I hope everybody had a good time. Hope you met family. Hope you ate all the fun stuff. I know I did. And I also ended up having so much fun. I had insomnia last night. So yay, I'm running on like 3 hours. Fun stuff. Okay. First things first, I want to let everybody know I do apologize for a couple interruptions in the videos coming out. As you know, 'tis the season for everybody to dig in your business and slow you down. So when you're doing that, sometimes all you gotta do is get a drink and just keep on trucking. So I don't have a lot of notes for tonight. So again, I don't know how long we're going to be on. I just want to go over a couple things here. The current series where they took everything from us. Yes, that one's only going to be a 3-parter. That is not getting a lot of traction. So those of you who enjoy it, but unfortunately that's going to be only in 3 pieces. So enjoy it. It's already set up. So the last piece will come out tonight. Yep, there's that. All right. I do have to say thank you to one of my subscribers. You know who you are, who recommended the whole story that exploded about electronic warfare, where there's the A10 on the front, where the A10 just goes blonk. And you don't even hear that. If you hear that, you might as well just say, okay, I'm done. Turn the guy around. I'm giving up. Don't bring him back, which is what the enemy does. So anyways, I want to also bring up that the next story in line, as far as series goes, is going to be They Call Us Monsters. All right. This people have been asking about that one. It doesn't get a lot of views, but people have been requesting it. And whatever you recommend, whatever you request, I'm going to do because that's what I'm here for. All right. That's what this channel is about, getting everybody out there what you want, what you desire, and hopefully it comes out really good. Although you would be amazed the amount of coffee I have to put to get this cranium cooking in the morning. I don't enjoy it. Well, I kind of do. I won't say more. All right. Coming up next year, after the 1st, I do have to say the Ambush Predators is coming back. It might be the way it's coming out. It's looking somewhere between the 1st and the 7th of January. But it's coming back. Fair warning, it's going to get pretty deep. It kind of has to because it's finally digging into the wayward past, like the personal past, not just the general overview of what happened to humanity, but it's going to be breaking down into Larry and Vince, the shit they had to go through that really, really messed them up. And then you're going to find they're held together by, how'd the man say? Little bits of wire and good intention. Let's see. Also, Are We Still Human Enough? Yep, that one's going to be coming out as well. Again, that one's not a big series. However, you guys requested it. So those 2 are the next ones coming up at once the year starts. I do have to say this. Again, I'm just reading down my notes for something. You guys brought up the T-28 or whatever it was. Yes, I looked it up. It was exactly what I remember. It was the American version of the Stug. Ours was a bit more squat and a hell of a lot more armored, which is why the 4 tracks on it. So yes, I looked it up. I remember that thing is slower than hell. That thing's meant to deal with fortifications, not other tanks. The Stug is an actual tank killer. All right. I want to also send out, again, you know who you are. I'm looking at you in the chat. I saw your email about the sound effects. I haven't gone through it yet. I've been running around like a jackass all day. I just haven't got a chance to look at it. I will. And if that works out really well, I will be putting more sound effects in mine. I got to find certain ones, like the bing, the light bulb going off like, oh, that was a good idea or something like that. a couple of walking noises as people coming up would probably help out a lot. I don't like something without the noise canceling on the walls. So I just want to make sure you guys get what you want. Also, last piece before I get into the chats and whatever you guys want to bring up, there is another isekai I brought up last week about the dragon, the phoenix, and the demon. The two separate storylines, I was actually able to merge them into one. And I don't know if you guys want that one. It's kind of fantastical, and most everybody here does science fiction. So, the different areas on that. I will do it if you guys want it. But that one's going to take some time because, again, two very, very big parts on that one. And the first one's kind of lighthearted, and the second one is dark as all hell and actually scary. So let me run down here. Talked about that. We'll see what we're talking about here in a second. And that's the end of my notes for my starting rant. It only took us 6 minutes. Wow. I need to ease off on this stuff then if I'm talking that fast. So from here on out, it's up to everybody watching. You got your gripes, your complaints, your critiques, whatever you want, go ahead and throw it in the comments. We are going to go over it. And if you have any questions on how to adjust something, you have a story that you're kind of kinked up, by all means, send them here. I'm all about setting people up for success. That's what I do. That's what I've done for decades, especially when I was wearing a uniform. And that's what I'm going to do here for everybody who's having an issue. So, going over, not a lot of things in the chat today. I see our Salty Sea Dog. Yes, you did send me those. And yes, how am I doing? Good thing you can't see my eyes. You guys will want to be calling the paramedics right now. What the hell's wrong with him? I don't know what it was. I got really bad insomnia last night. I watched the clock tick up past 1 o'clock. I'm like, why am I awake? But we've all had it. So it is what it is. And that's why caffeine is a wonderful drug. George Orwell. Every time I keep thinking the world's going to end on us. Oh, I gotta remember, I didn't find the Murphy's Laws here. It's in my paperwork, but I gotta organize that. Anyway, but let's see. Howdy, greetings from Central Missouri. I had insomnia last night also. Pretty regular for me. Yeah, sometimes you need a little, liquid sleep to help you out with that one. But yeah, I try not to do that with the insomnia just because you get addicted to it. And me personally, if I have one drink, I cannot make content for you guys. The first thing to shut down inside my thinking meat is just all my creativity is just gone. It's just it takes a nap. And then, whatever. That's why, this is maybe beer, but it's the birch type. They don't make these many places. And no, it's not clear Pepsi. Those of you who remember clear Pepsi know how bad that was. Oh my God. I've seen lasers cut through metal slower than how fast clear Pepsi went through me. Crazy. That being said, with age, less sleep. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just kind of the thing there, Sea Dog. All right. Now, since we don't have a lot of people in, if we're only going for about 8 minutes, this isekai story, I want to give you guys just a start of it. Now, I'm not going to explain the whole thing, but since I'm more or less done with the other one now, it's going to be extended eventually. But this one is rather simple, being brought into a land where on your 5th, your 10th, and your 15th birthday, you go to a summoning circle. Now, normally, folks can't summon much when they're 5 years old. They only summon something that's basically a pet. That's all they're really looking for, is just a little companion for the little kid. Eventually, it'll be their familiar, however you want to put that. Well, when this guy goes in, obviously dealing with content like we have here and all this other stuff, and somebody's sending more stuff on me, he figures out how to actually flow his life force into this circle a lot better, which is a actual stone setup. It's not like he has to draw it in blood or whatever, the body fluids. Maybe he used to talk to the guy from the new crewmate, what type of bodily fluids to draw in. Yeah, I know, it's gross. Anyways, the very first one, and this is where I'm going to hold, I will let you know, the very first one, he's 5 years old, has memories from this world. However, he summons a succubus, but she's an infant. She's so small, she should be actually sucking on her mama at this point. And he's like, okay, what? And she basically turns into his little sister. That's the way he looks at her, because he ends up having to raise her. Now, does this come into play later? Absolutely. Does it come into play early? Absolutely not. Okay. It's just one of those things with the story to just get it moving along. You want to see what he gets next, and then once he has what he has, you realize that certain creatures that are summoned are immediately pulled away by the acting government. Do you see where this might be going? Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It gets, how do I put this? Oh yeah, it gets a little crazy at times, but I mean, it's still an isekai. It's still the way it is, but it gets, like I said, the first half is kind of lighthearted. The second half is really dark. Let's see. Sea-Dog says, I would like you to consider SpaceX set up moon base, aliens attack, Space Force reacts. That's pretty much, now if I was doing real, everything had to be real hard science, that would be, how do I put this? A lot of this technology that would be used to defend us is not something in common use, which is the reason why I talked about the electronic warfare stuff in a few of these, where you can actually use a directed energy weapon and cause a planetoid to crack itself. Literally, it's going to look like two butt cheeks with a huge crack down the center. It's just the way those things operate. Is this in common use? Absolutely not, because the last thing we need is somebody over there in, I don't know, East Bumfuck, wherever, deciding, oh, let's sink the Eastern Seaboard. Crack. Bad juju right there. Very, very bad. Not to mention the resulting tsunamis that would happen from that and all sorts of craziness. It would just be bad news bears, man. Bad news bears. But the actual, now I could do that. It's actually not difficult to do. The problem with a actual SpaceX moon base is this. It's not dug into the moon itself. It's on the surface. It's maybe one story dug in, but it's not actually down into the mantle of the moon. And if you're dealing with weapons like that and stuff that can like incinerate the domes, like literally just crack them open, like, I don't know, as fast as you crack your knuckles, then that'd be a quick battle, that's for sure. Now, as far as Space Force reacts, you're that close to a planet, you're going to have ground-based and satellite-based weapons firing like mad. You're not going to need spaceships because you already have a defended platform that you can't move. Basically, it's the world's, well, I shouldn't say the world, the galaxy's biggest space station. If it came to the point where people knew that aliens were out there and they were pissed off and they were coming, there would be so many people building defense satellites, it would be absurd. It would be like the space satellite network in Halo, where they had 200 plus satellites around the planet, all of them with a big ass gun. Why? Because we're humans. We love our big ass guns. And the day we stop loving our big ass guns is the day just pack us up and send us off to Timbuktu, because we're done. Coring as in coring the world? Yeah, it'd do that. The last thing you need is to crack the mantle and let the core actually come out. People, that's bad. I can't stress how bad that is. That's just bad stuff right there. And again, that's hard science. You can play with the science fiction all you want, but the hard science is right there. You don't want to rip the core up because that destabilizes everything. and the whole planet might actually lose its orbit around the glowing orb that we circle, known as the sun. I'm so bright, my mama calls me sun. So, oh, Fabian's here from the pub. Well, there you go, Fabian. You know what? Everybody needs to relax. Probably recovering from the holidays just like me and everybody else. So, let's see. Okay, still human enough. If you guys have any interest in adding to that, by all means, throw it in. And Are We Still Human Enough is literally the guys who woke up inside medical pods and realized that some rich asshole had altered their DNA. Hell, the main character is now blue. I mean, seriously, he looks very, what's the word I'm looking for? Petite. Very, very thin. Like, seriously thin. With silver hair. I actually got that. A friend of mine was like, hey, use this character. I was like, you genius. He's like, only when it comes to art. I'm like, can you draw for me yet? And he goes, no. He just doesn't have the time. He's got, well, I think, 2 kids to deal with, and they're the ages of 3 and 4, I think. Let's see. Fabian says, nope, still carrying on. Got a month off. Oh, take all the time off in one go. Really? Oh, you got to be careful on that, Fabian. You might burn yourself out on the back end on that, because everybody knows it's the moment, man. It's the moment. You can be on your grind and you're focusing on that goal, but in that moment can be the toughest moment. And then the very next moment's even tougher. And then the next moment's even tougher. And, it is what it is. So, yeah, be careful about that, Fabian. Hopefully it works out for you. Everyone to each their own. But in any case, back to human enough. If you guys want to see somebody else being altered in a certain way, I think they got one centaur, if I remember correctly. They got a bunch of arachnid folks that's scared the living shit out of people. They're not even close to human anymore. Let's see. The main character, there's only another one that's blue. There's another one that's red with horns, which I threw that in there for funnies, folks. I thought that would be hilarious. And the first thing I heard when somebody read that was, is he going to hook up with her? I'm like, guys, not everybody's screwing each other. Not to say it's not a possibility, but not everybody's screwing each other. This isn't Elder's Gate, or whatever the new the new video game where everybody is just screwing everybody. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm guilty of a couple stories. The new crewmate, hence the mate part. So, yeah. By the way, I hope you guys don't mind me having to tap dance around everything with that. I tried to make it as funny as possible, but I can't say certain words more than once. And even if I use one word once and a second word you're only supposed to use once, they're going to count that as 2 of the same word. And it's not worth it. So let's see. C-Dog said, had a chat with Grok. He said the moon base would be underground real time. Most of it. There's still the excavation point. But the thing is, it would really depend on how far along they are. The reason why it will be underground is just because if you dig straight down, you've already have a floor and walls. It's already there. And Baldur's Gate, Fabian, you're right. It should be Baller's Gate, because that's all they play is balls. Anyways, as far as the moon base goes, again, once you dig down, just like you're digging a cave system or you're digging a bunker or something like that, and once you go down, you've already built most of it. The actual fill that you're taking out of that would be put in tubes. The tubes would be on the outside, actually holding on to their shell. Their shell would be in there. I seen a couple specials on this a while ago, and this was the best plan they had. If you know what a sonotube is, folks, that's what your moon base is going to look like. Honestly, it's going to look like the turd emoji, but gray. So an old turd. That's what it's going to look like, all up there. And so radiation and insulation and micrometeorite protection, absolutely. But you still got to dig in somewhere. You still have to have a way out. So that's why I say most of it will be under as soon as they get far enough into it. It takes a long time, especially in an area like that, to actually go in and dig that out and get several floors deep. Then you got to lay the concrete, and the concrete's got to set. Then you got to double check to make sure it's good. Then you got to make sure it's reinforced beforehand. Then you got to actually continue to dig down. So you got to leave one side open so you can get your heavy equipment down there and keep digging everything out. It's a big, big project. And doing all this with almost nothing around you at all. No air to breathe. The only bonus is, was it 1/6 of Earth? So something that's 6 pounds is only going to be 1 pound. So yeah, bonus is there, but still. And Fabian says, yeah, Cheyenne Mountain. Yeah, they dug in the same way, but then they had to set everything on springs. I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. However, it works. It works if you shake the bedrock, because bedrock doesn't give. If it wants to move, it's taking you with it. Third mission would be delivery of a coring machine. Yeah, I could see that. You want the metal plating in the to reinforce it. You can also mix lead inside the concrete to help harden it, but you got to be careful, because you can get too hard and then it breaks easy. It's I'm not an engineer. I do know a little bit about building shit, but I'm not an engineer. And yes, metal plating, rebar, lots and lots of rebar, and that's a lot of heavy stuff to be taking up that way. Until they find something better than the chemical rockets we're using, it's going to be slow. Yes, shock absorption. Everybody likes shock absorption. Yeah. Like riding on the waves, people. That's actually something. No, I'm going to write this down if I remember where the hell I put my pen. Taking aliens water skiing. How about that one? Water skiing aliens. That's going to be an interesting water. Yeah. See this rope? Yeah. Hold on to it. Why? It's going to look like Muppets going out there. Is that the Great Gonzo being dragged across the ground? Oh, gee. That honestly sounds funny. And actually, that brings it up. Now, and again, if you have any critiques for anything that's out there, any comments, any suggestions you have for any stories to come out, put them inside the chat box so I can see them. And then I will get to them. If they work, I'm going to write them down, because you guys just got my thinking meat moving again, making sure that we have all this. Now, looking forward to Gonzo on the water again. Got it. Yeah. What's Gonzo's first name? Great. Anyways, people don't remember that. That being said, where was I? All right. Not human enough. They call us monsters. All right. Be prepared for another time jump, folks. I do have to let you know on that one. There will be a time jump. It is required. I can't do anything really except for talk about day-to-day processes at the point they're at. Everything is just slow. So again, be prepared for a time jump and be prepared for some additional characters. Which ones? I'm not going to tell you yet. You're just going to have to tune in and find out now, aren't you? And I guarantee a few of you went like, asshole, tease us like that. Well, yeah, that's kind of the point. Paddleboarding aliens. Well, might be interesting if they try to have tentacles to do that. By the way, I got in trouble for using the word tentacles. You believe that bullshit? Like, you can't use that word, but they had it as a different spelling. I was like, dude, get some better speak to word software in there, you jerks. They tried to demonetize me on that. However, they did demonetize me for a while because everything was going on Rumble too. And they had to do this when I didn't have any power. Like, I'm sorry, Captain, I just don't have the power. Yeah, I didn't have any power for like 3 days here, so it is what it is. But yeah, would they call us monsters? Also expect people to have a slightly different look, and that's not to change the character. That's just because there's going to be a time jump. Now, most everybody's pretty much set as far as their mutation goes, but if you're well versed in story, you know that there is always a little bit of change whenever they chow down. Now, Fabian says, what about time management? And for those of you who don't know, he's talking about my company has a time management problem, and he comes to find out he's what they call a chrononaut. He's an actual guy who goes forward in time to check out how things are so he can bring the information back. And there was kind of a, things always seem to go wrong in these stories, don't they? Now, as far as time management goes, yes, I'm going to write that down right now. Time management. And now I will say, Fabian, I'll get into that one. I just can't say I'm going to go too far. I might do 2 or 3, and then I'll stop, and then I'll come back to it because it really doesn't have a very big following. And unfortunately, I got to do what gets the views. There's no other way to do it. You haven't started They Call Us Monsters yet. Well, I kind of ruined a little bit of it, but hopefully I didn't ruin the entire story. I kind of might have done it. But anyways, yeah. The issue with a lot of those stories is it's difficult to grab a hold of somebody. And just so you know, those of you who actually they do stories, if you make them, you have to have something that grabs a hold of your audience. He's got to grab them right by the short hairs and hold on long enough for them to get invested in the story. That being said, when you're doing something that has a slow burn to start with, a lot of people just don't get in there because they're trying to figure out what's going on. That sort of thing does better with a visual medium. No, Fabian, don't worry. I will get to it. I wrote it down. It's right there. You know, kind of hard to read because that's upside down, and my print is chicken scratch. My notes are almost all in cursive, which is great because when my nephews show up, he's like, "What are you working on?" What language is this? I'm like, it's English. How do you read that? Anyways, I swear we're going to end up being a generation that when our nephews, our nieces, our grandkids show up, they're going to be like, somebody wrote something weird in the bathroom and we can't figure out on the wall. You're going to write something in cursive and they're going to think it's a different language. Kids. Anyways, I still think everybody should learn how to do that, just like I think everybody should learn how to drive a stick shift. But who am I? I'm just an old Army grunt who is good at creating stories, especially when you guys actually are out there helping me get good ideas. Because again, we did have one, electronic warfare. Somebody wanted to see aliens go against an A-10, and I was like, how is that going to work? How's that going to work? How's that going to work? How's that going to son of... That's how. And not literally hitting myself in the head, but it actually came out pretty good. It got a really good amount of views, maybe because there's an A-10 Warthog right down the front. And if you look, there's another one down lower that's actually on fire. But as we know, it takes a little bit more than fire to take one of those things down. But then again, I hope you guys didn't mind the little Easter egg on that one. Fire is cool. Fire is cool. I didn't want to use the other fire reference because I've done that everywhere else. Now, I think I'm pretty much done here. I've gone over everything. We don't have a lot of suggestions coming in. So I'm going to end it early tonight, folks. So here's your safety brief. If you didn't drink, you don't drive. If you drive, you don't drink. If your buddy wants to drink and drive, kick his ass. Kick his balls so high they become ovaries. And then he's safe and you're safe. He might hate you, but at least he's still breathing. You know, if a little soldier's going in the bush, make sure he wears his poncho. You know, keep your powder dry, your finger on the trigger. Remember, 5 seconds fuse burns 3 seconds. As the aliens found out in one of the recent stories, friendly fire isn't, suppressive fire won't, and if the enemy's in range, so are you. That's the thought for tonight. This is Syntext ejecting.